Hey everybody, Sharon here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today back in Super Dodgeball, grabbing the Skilled Dodgeball Team achievement. This is to beat the game on difficult in under 25 minutes. Go to play, and then make sure you keep the game mode on the one-player World Cup play, and then just set the difficulty to difficult. Start up the game, and we are going to get started. Now, the only difference between difficult and normal is on difficult, the AI is going to have a higher catch rating, which is going to mean they are going to have a higher probability of catching any shots you throw off. Other than that, the game is going to play exactly like normal. So what you want to do is you want to stick to our power shot ability. So with the default lineup, which should put Sam as the front court, who should get the ball at the start of the game, what you want to do is you want to move him to about mid court or further back, double tap forward to start dashing, and then what you want to do is you want to hold the shot button anywhere between the 4th and the 7th step of your dash. That should allow you to throw a really powerful shot, which you can actually turn and arc, and your goal is to try to hit as many people in one shot as possible. If you threw it hard enough, you should also catch it with your backcourt, and they can throw it back into play. So you could pretty much just keep spamming this, and you can just rip through the other team in a few seconds. So other than the catch rating difference, there's going to be no other differences between difficult and normal, which means all of the teams are going to have the same characteristics that we dealt with on our normal run. However, in terms of the achievement, that extra 10 minutes is going to help out a bunch, since because everyone has the same characteristics other than their catch rating, we are going to have more time to have a margin of error. So with that in mind, you want to keep up the same strategies and the same notes with all of the different teams. For example, India has Swami, who can take an absolute beating. As you can see, a full power shot will only hit him for 1. So definitely try to use the bulk of your time limit working on Team India. However, 25 minutes is going to be more than enough time. As you can see, we beat the game on normal in under 15, so having the extra 10 minutes should be more than enough. I believe the world record for a run on difficult is just under 7 minutes, and I happen to take about 10 minutes to do my run. So as you can see, you have way more than enough for a margin of error. So other than that, just make sure you keep up the power shot strategies. Definitely take advantage of the in-game save. I recommend making a save every time you land a hit. And then, of course, backing up from your save if you manage to throw a shot where the AI catches it and then throws it back at you and you take a hit or fail to catch it. If you really want to, I also recommend practicing the game so you're good enough to time your catches. That way you aren't having to completely rely on the save system. However, if you don't want to take the time in order to actually practice the defensive mechanics of the game, taking advantage of the in-game save will also help you out a bunch. It's just going to take you a lot more real-life time to work on that. So do whatever you want that suits your fancy. Eventually, you should trudge your way through and make it to the end and be good for the achievement either way. So once you get through the slugfest, which is Team India, we are going to get back to the game that we can blow through. So on to Team Iceland. Again, a pretty weak team that has a lot of health, so they are going to take quite a bit of hits, but then their defense rating goes back to normal. So as you can see, if you can get a bunch of easy lineups where they are all in a big stack, we can just mow through them using our power shot. Try your best to practice the arc, and definitely try your best to practice doing shorter run-ups so you can keep an eye on where they are on the screen. If you are stacking this with the Japanese version, you are probably more used to doing the full court run up, because in the Japanese version, you have to throw the power shot off on exactly the 7th step. So if you're noticing me do fuller run ups than normal, that's the reason. But if you are just planning on doing this version, definitely recommend just working on the 4-step throw, because you are able to do the throw a lot quicker since you don't have to back up too far, and you can also keep the other opponents on screen, which should make arcing your shots a lot easier to try to hit multiple people. That being said, if you are planning on stacking the Japanese version, I highly recommend you practicing the longer run-up, because that timing is a lot more exact in that version. On to Team China. This team is going to be pretty hard on difficult because they have a very high catch rating, so be a little careful and definitely take advantage of the save here. You are going to need a ton of patience to get through this, because normally they have a really high base catch rating, and with the difficulty multiplier, you are going to have to deal with that. So try to be a little careful, or try to practice your play on defense. Make sure you are getting those catches right, and you should be able to get through this. But once again, once you land your power shots, they are going to be whittled down really quickly, because despite having a high catch rating, they are going to have low health. All right, on to Kenya. Kenya is going to be frustrating in terms of the stage layout because the game is played on sand. It's going to slow your steps down significantly. So what you have to do is you have to work on doing shorter run-ups because each one of your run-ups is going to take less space. So if you are gauging the timing based on the spacing, you might want to change that up a bit to work on trying to count the number of steps. It takes a little bit of an adjustment, however, it's just for this stage. So just keep that in mind. Be a little careful in working on your power shots here. Once again, this is way more frustrating in the Japanese version, but in this American version, you do have a ton of leeway with when you get your shot off. Once you manage to figure that out, you should beat Kenya, and then it's on to the semifinals where you play Japan. Japan is going to be really easy. As you can see, they have more or less traditional play methods. So just try your best to arc your shots, try to hit multiple people in one shot, and you should be good. The captain is going to have a ton of health, but once again, that's no match with our super awesome power shot. And having a ton of health isn't going to do you too much unless you have a high defense as well. So you should be able to just beat this the traditional way, slowly but eventually, and trying your best to hit as many people at once. Once you manage to eliminate the Japanese team, it's on to the finals where we are going to play the USSR. So this team is going to have pretty high health, a pretty okay catch rating, and is going to hit pretty hard. So definitely want to be careful if you are playing defensively or if you do plan on actually not taking advantage of the save system for whatever reason. So keep up the same strategy as the previous teams. Just make sure you line up your power shots. Try to get them in a formation where you can hit them all at once. And you should also be able to blow through them quite quickly. It's also here where I actually recommend an additional step. Once you get it with your backcourt person in the very back, I recommend passing it to one of your side backcourt players. That way you can have a shorter pass in case the AI does decide to try to block it. Basically, you want to try to do this without them getting the ball, because once they get the ball, they are going to hit very hard. And as you can see, our team doesn't have too good of base health, so we definitely want to do this while trying to minimize their possessions as best as we can. And what that is basically going to amount to is us trying to take advantage of the save system. So once you finally manage to defeat the Russians, we are on to the last game, which is going to be against Team Shadow. Team Shadow is just going to be a doppelganger of us who share all of the same stats with the exception of shot power and stamina. So what this means is we're just going to take advantage of their very low base health that we also have and just pretty much abuse the power shot. Once again, try your best to arc your shots and try to get them in a formation where you can hit them all at once, and then you should be able to whittle them down. Keep in mind they do have the catch rating that is the multiplier from the difficulty, so be a little mindful of that. They can still catch the ball. So this is definitely going to be a game where you want to keep the save system handy. The reason for that is one bad catch can definitely ruin your day if you fail to catch the ball. But with enough patience and a good enough string of shots that are landing, you should be able to knock them out. That's going to win you the tournament and the game. Once you get the celebratory screen, you should be good for the achievement if you made that time limit. There it is, 100 gamer score, and that's all there is to it.